Hello students, in this video we shall see about the functional anatomy of cochlea and auditory pathway. Cochlea is the part of the inner ear or labyrinth which is located in the petrous part of the temporal bone. Inner ear is otherwise called labyrinth. What do you mean by labyrinth? Labyrinth literally means it's a complicated, irregular network of passages in which it is difficult to find one's path, like a maze. So inner ear structure is also somewhat complicated, having bony tunnels like that. So it is called as labyrinth. Bony labyrinth contains series of bony channels in the temporal bone, and this bony labyrinth is filled with a fluid called perilymph. This perilymph is similar to structure, similar in composition to that of CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid or extracellular fluid. The bony labyrinth encloses fluid-filled membranous tubes and sacs called membranous labyrinth. This pink color structure is the membranous labyrinth. So this membranous labyrinth is filled with endolymph. It is rich in potassium, almost similar in composition to that of intracellular fluid. Inner ear consists of the vestibular apparatus, that is the vestibule and the semicircular canals is the sense organ for equilibrium, as well as the cochlea, which is the sense organ for hearing. We shall see the structure of cochlea in detail. The bony cochlea resembles a snail shell and spirals for about 2-3-4 turns around a bony column called modulus. See, it looks like a snail shell, and this turn it has about 2-3-4 turns. This turn is called as the apical turn, this is the middle turn, and this is the basal turn. So it spirals around. So if you take a cut section, it will be like a there will be a central bony core called modulus. So this is the central bony core called modulus, from which the bony spiral lamina projects. So this is the bony spiral lamina here. Yes, this is the bony spiral lamina which projects. So it's looking like a nail. So you can see this is the nail, and the threads of the nail is the spiral lamina. So this is the structure of a bony cochlea. And this bony cochlea is filled with the what fluid? It is filled with perilymph. And now two membranes, okay? Two membranes. So here another picture, same, similar to the previous one. Here you have the central core modulus. Through the modulus you have the nerves and blood vessels entering into the cochlea. And here you have the spiral lamina. You have the spiral lamina, okay? So from the spiral lamina, two membranes arise. Reisner's membrane is otherwise called as the vestibular membrane and the basilar membrane. These two membranes separate the cochlea into three compartments. So here it separates the cochlea into three compartments. So here it's the enlarged picture here. It is the three compartments are called scala vestibuli, scala media, and scala tympani. So the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani are filled with the perilymph, that is the bony cochlea, and the scala media is filled with endolymph. So the scala media is the membranous cochlea or the cochlear duct which is filled with the endolymph. Here you can see the picture, the bony cochlea filled with the perilymph, blue color, and inside you have the pink color membranous cochlea or the cochlear duct. Which is filled with the endolymph. If you see the membranous cochlea, what are the boundaries? So above you have the Reisner's membrane, and below you have the basilar membrane, and laterally you will be having stria vascularis. Stria vascularis is nothing but the rich vascular network which secretes endolymph, fluid rich in potassium. And the basilar membrane contains the organ of Corti, which is here, this one. So it is the organ of Corti located on the basilar membrane in the scala media, which is the principal sense organ of hearing. See, if the cochlea is rolled out, to imagine, If you see here, it is the scala vestibuli, scala media and scala tympani. See, if you see the Reisner's membrane, here this one, Reisner's membrane and the basilar membrane, they are fused towards the apex of the cochlea. So what happens, the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani, they are communicating at the apex of the cochlea. And here it's the base of the cochlea, which is more closely related to the middle ear. So if you see here in the middle ear, there is the footplate of stapes which vibrates against the oval window. When it pushes in, it will set up vibrations in the fluid in the scala vestibuli, which will be transmitted along the scala vestibuli. It will reach the apex, then it will be transmitted along the scala tympani to reach the round window, causing reciprocal movement of the oval window and round window. So during this fluid vibrations, what happens? The basilar membrane also vibrates. The basilar membrane also moves. As I said already, the basilar membrane has the principal sense organ for hearing, that is organ of Cartay. So the movement of the basilar membrane causes movement of the hair cells and they respond to the sound signals. Here the same picture only in a different orientation. Here the cochlea is shown like a coiled tube. So here is the footplate of stapes, okay, footplate of stapes, and here is the round window. When the footplate of stapes vibrates, it sets up vibrations in the scala vestibuli. It's transmitted, it's shown in the red color line. It reaches the apex of the cochlea, comes back in the scale of tympani, as it's shown as the blue color, and it reaches the round window. So during this vibration transmission, the basilar membrane is also set into vibration. So organ of Cartay, it is a principal sense organ for hearing. It is located in the scala media. So it is located in the scala media on the basilar membrane. So let us see the structure of the organ of Cartay. Organ of Cartay contains two groups of hair cells. You have the outer hair cells and you have the inner hair cells. So the outer hair cells, this is the outer hair cells, the purple color, and here the inner hair cells. So the hair cells are arranged in two groups. They are separated by the tunnel of Cartay, which is a triangular space. So this space, which is a triangular space bounded by the rods of the Cartay. The inner hair cells. It is called as inner hair cells because it is closer to the modulus here, okay. So the inner hair cells, they are arranged in a single row. You can see here it's arranged in a single row, and the cell is somewhat shorter and round. It is somewhat round shaped, and the cells are also less numerous. That is, it's about 3,500 in number. Whereas the outer hair cells, you can see they are long and slender. They are arranged in 3 rows. And here they are numerous in number. They are about 15,000 to 20,000 outer hair cells. And innervation means the afferent fibers, that is the fibers from the vestibulocochlear division of the vestibulocochlear nerve. The afferent fibers, they innervate mainly the inner hair cells. So 95% of the afferent nerve fibers, here the nerve fibers coming from the modulus, okay, it will innervate the 95% of the afferent fibers arise from the inner hair cells. Only 5% arise from the outer hair cells. Whereas the outer hair cells have efferent nerve supply also. These efferent nerves come from the superior olivary complex situated in the medulla. So you call it as olivocochlear nerve bundle. So what is the functional significance between the inner hair cells and outer hair cells? The inner hair cells, they are non-motile and they are the actual sensory receptors which will pick up the sound signals. The outer hair cells are motile and their main function is to modify the cochlear input. So here, as I told you already, 95% of the nerve fibers, afferent nerve fibers, arise from the inner hair cells because they are the principal sensory cells. and they pick up the sound signals. The outer hair cells just they modulate the cochlear input. They mainly receive efferent nerves from the olivocochlear nerve bundle. And you also can see the supporting cells here, the pink color, the supporting cells surrounding the outer hair cells and the inner hair cells. If you see the hair cell, the tip of the hair cell, so this is the base of the hair cells. This is the base of the hair cells and this is the tip of the hair cells. From the tip of the hair cells, you can see numerous hair-like structures called stereocilia arising both in the outer hair cells and in the inner hair cells. These stereocilia of the outer hair cells project into a thin gelatinous membrane-like structure called the tectorial membrane. Here is the tectorial membrane. This membrane is attached medially to the spiral lamina. Okay, medially it is attached to the spiral lamina, and laterally it is free and it is supported by the supporting cells of the outer hair cells. Whereas the stereocilia of the inner hair cells, they are just short of touching the tectorial membrane. And here another membrane you can see supported by the rods of the cortei, the thin membrane here, which will through which the stereocilia of both the outer hair cells and the inner hair cells project. It's called as reticular lamina. So this is the reticular lamina and this is the tectorial membrane. So here are a few names of the supporting cells. You have the inner border cell, inner phalangeal cells, pillar cells, Dayter's cells, and you have also another cells called Hensen cells. So these are all names of the supporting or sustentacular cells of the hair cells. So just recap the differences between outer hair cells versus inner hair cells. So shape, I told you, inner hair cells, they are small and they are somewhat round in shape, whereas the outer hair cells, they are longer and slender. And the inner hair cells are few in number, about 3000 to 3500 cells, whereas the outer hair cells are numerous, they are about 15,000 to 20,000 cells. Arrangement, the inner hair cells are arranged inner to the rods of the cortei, that is closer to the modulus, in a single row, whereas the outer hair cells are arranged lateral to the rods of the cortei in 3 or 4 rows. Innervation, 95% of the afferent nerves arise from the inner hair cells, which are principally sensory in function, whereas only 5% afferent fibers arise from the outer hair cells, and they mainly receive the efferent nerve fibers from the superior olivary nucleus in the medulla. And function wise, inner hair cells, they are principally the principal sensory cells picking the sound signals, whereas the outer hair cells, they modify the cochlear input. If you see the stereocilia, so this is the structure of a single hair cell. Okay, so structure of a single hair cell. If you see the apex of the hair cell, the numerous stereocilia, all the stereocilia are of not same height. So you have the increasing order of height. So as a slope like this. So increasing order of height. The stereocilia towards the lateral wall, that is towards the stria vascularis, will be longer, whereas the stereocilia towards the modulus will be shorter. And if you see closer, the tips of the stereocilia are interconnected by a protein called tip-link proteins. The tip-link proteins connect the tips of the cilia, and at the junction of the tip-link proteins and the cilia, here this region, at the junction you have an ion channel called MET channel. So that is mechanoelectrical transduction channel. They are nothing but mechanically sensitive ion channels. That is, when there is movement of the stereocilia, these mechanosensitive ion channels will open and ions can come into the hair cells and produce depolarization. And another important point you should know is the base of the hair cells. Okay, so the hair cells are located on the basilar membrane. So base of the hair cells are bathed in the perilymph, whereas the apex of the hair cells are bathed in the endolymph. So now we come to the auditory pathway. So I told you afferent fibers arise from the hair cells in the organ of the cortei, and they have the cell bodies in the spiral ganglion situated in the modulus, and the axons of these neurons in the spiral ganglia form the cochlear division of the 8th nerve, that is the vestibulocochlear nerve. So vestibular cochlear nerve enter into the brainstem. So here is the cochlea from where the afferent nerve fibers from the hair cells arise, and here is the spiral ganglion. The axons of the neurons in the spiral ganglion form the cochlear division of the vestibulocochlear nerve. It enters into the medulla and it will end on the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei situated at the pontomedullary junction. From here the second order neurons will arise. The second order neurons will go to the superior olivary complex and the trapezoid body of both the sides. So there is crossing of fibers, and from here, so from the superior olivary nucleus, the third order neurons will arise and they will ascend up as the lateral lemniscus, and they will go and end in the inferior colliculus of the midbrain. Inferior colliculus is the site for many auditory reflexes, and again here there is crossing of fibers. From the inferior colliculus, the fibers project up into and reach the medial geniculate body of the thalamus. From here, the auditory radiations, they project to the temporal cortex where the auditory area is situated. So I'll just recap again. The first order neurons situated in the spiral ganglion in the modulus, and the second order neurons in the cochlear nuclei, dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei in the pontomedullary junction. From there to the superior olivary nucleus and trapezoid body of both the sides, and then to the via lateral lemniscus to the inferior colliculus, from there to the medial geniculate body, and finally via auditory radiations to the temporal cortex where the auditory areas are situated. So what are the auditory areas? Primary auditory cortex is area 41, which is situated in the superior temporal gyrus here. It will be situated here, superior temporal gyrus. And the secondary auditory cortex area 42 is again closer to the area 41, is the secondary auditory cortex. And we have auditory association areas, area 22 here in the superior temporal gyrus, area 21 in the middle temporal gyrus, and area 20 in the inferior temporal gyrus. Area 22 is also called as Wernicke's area, is an important speech area. So it's again a different picture showing the auditory pathway. So here you have the auditory nerve. You have the auditory nerve, the cochlear nuclei, and the superior olivary complex and trapezoid body. And here you have the inferior colliculus and the medial geniculate body projecting finally to the temporal cortex. So it is cortical tonotopy. Tones means frequency. So there is a representation of frequencies. So if you see from it is represented, there is tonotopic organization right from the cochlea up to the cerebral cortex. So in the cochlea, if you see the basal turn, they respond more to the high frequencies, whereas the apical turn, they respond to the low frequency. Similarly, the cerebral cortex, we have the tonotopic organization. So we shall see some applied aspects. Hearing loss or hearing impairment can be of two types: conductive hearing loss or sensory neural hearing loss. Conductive hearing loss means here the defect is in the outer and the middle ear, resulting in impairment of the conduction of the sound to the sensory receptors. That is, the sensory receptors situated in the inner ear. So conductive hearing loss problem is in the outer ear and the middle ear. Whereas the sensory neural hearing loss, the problem is in the either the sensory organ, that is the cochlea, or neural problem, that is behind the cochlea or beyond the cochlea, that is retrocochlea. It may be either in the auditory nerve or in the brainstem. So that is the sensory neural hearing loss. We shall just see few examples for cochlear hearing loss. That is sensory hearing loss due to cochlear pathology. So sometimes the cochlear hair cells may be genetically defective, or they may be damaged by excessive noise. There is noise trauma, or may be damaged in head injury, may be damaged by any metabolic causes like diabetes, uremia, and kidney dysfunction like that, or maybe damaged by some ototoxic drugs like gentamicin, etc. Neural hearing loss, I told you, it is defect either in the auditory nerve or in the neural pathway. So it's either in the 8th nerve or in the brainstem. And tumor usually arising from the 8th nerve, you call it as acoustic neuroma. So in these conditions, or any brainstem lesion, in this condition there will be neural type of hearing loss. So in this video, we saw about the structure of cochlea and the structure of organ of Corti and the auditory pathway and few applied aspects. Thank you.